How's it going, everyone? Today I'm at the cleaning bench and I wanted to talk about my take on CLPs versus a dedicated solvent and lubricant. So, in one of my previous videos, I mentioned that I'm not a fan of CLPs, and this is pretty universal. I'm not a fan of CLPs. I do not like them. I tend to avoid buying them at this point, and I've tried a whole bunch of them. I've got this ProShot stuff here. It comes in these cleaning kits, which I actually really like the cleaning kits. Cleaning kits are great, but I tried using this for the first time the other day, and I didn't care for it. I've got some Ezox here, which is actually one of the few that I do kind of like, and I'll get into that in a second. I've got some G96 here, which I got on a recommendation, and they're okay. And that's all that they'll ever be, is they're okay. They might do one thing really well, but the other portions of what they're supposed to do, I think they leave a lot to be desired. And this ProShot stuff, I don't even know. Maybe as a protectant? Because if you look at this, I'll put some on my finger here. It's incredibly thin. It's got the viscosity of, it's like close to water. It doesn't feel like a lubricant. It doesn't clean nearly as good as Ed's Red or Hoppe's. I can understand, like, if you wanted to have something like this because it's non-toxic or it's skin friendly, sure. But this has its own warning label that says not to get it on your skin. And in general, I wear my gloves all the time when I'm doing stuff like this because I don't want this stuff on my skin. But, I just looked this up. It's $7.62 on their website, right? And I'll look it up right now. In their description, this is as of August 2025. A gallon is $96.63. You won't even touch the performance for cost versus Ed's Red. This says, synthetic superior proprietary formula is based on a unique blend of non-hazardous and bio-friendly ingredients. Okay, so if it's non-hazardous and bio-friendly, why does it say fatal if swallowed and causes skin irritation? Make that make sense. Like I said, I really like ProShot products, but I really think that they're doing a disservice to the shooting community. At least with motor oil, yeah, you shouldn't get it on your skin, wear your gloves. But don't try to sell something as non-toxic, and then right on the bottle it says fatal if swallowed. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I know Ed's Red has nasty chemicals in it. Gloves. I think it's just ridiculous because what you pay for, it's gun products in general, but the CLPs really, really irk me the most. Because at least, with Hoppe's, it works, it cleans. A lot of people say it has a nice smell to it. I don't think the new stuff smells as good as the old stuff, and I don't think the new stuff cleans as well as the old stuff. You got an old glass bottle of Hoppe's, hang on to it because that stuff is awesome. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic here. It's just really frustrating to me seeing these companies that push these products when realistically I think, one, they're not going to do for your firearm what they should be doing, and two, they're so expensive versus the homemade option. These two things here clean better and lubricate better than any CLP I have ever tried. I'm at the point in my life now where I will never buy another CLP, and I'll probably never buy another gun-specific cleaning product or lubricating product because these work incredibly well. I do have a few exceptions, like Ezox, for example. I kind of like this. It's got some trichloroethylene, I believe it's called. and it's an industrial solvent. This stuff isn't really meant to be a liquid lubricant. It's more of a wipe it on, let it sit, and then wipe it off. This actually cleans incredibly well. I've used this just as a cleaner and then used a standard lubricant over top of it. But this stuff, being meant to be a dry solvent, it doesn't attract the dirt and the grime that a liquid lubricant would. So it does have its pros. And you know, this is somebody who is very, very biased against almost all CLPs. I just don't think that these products that are being pushed by these companies are nearly as good as what they say they are, and they're so expensive for what you get. The Ezox I kind of have a little bit of nostalgia for. One of my good friends who's now passed, he had his own gun shop, and this is all he would use. So, you know, the smell kind of reminds me of when I walk into his gun shop. The Hoppies, also a bit of nostalgia here. I remember shooting guns with my grandpa when I was a young kid, and that's what he would use. Granted, it was the old stuff in the glass jar, but still, the same smell, you know? So I can understand getting a product for nostalgia. This is G96, kind of smells like Christmas. It smells nice. But I just don't think they work as good as, you know, your basic automotive grade solvents and lubricants. I don't really want to keep going on all this. I think it's kind of getting long-winded at this point. This is just a topic that's been bothering me for quite some time. And I think CLPs are a fad, and I want to see that fad go away. I want to see companies start making legitimate cleaning products and legitimate lubrication products and stop pushing this garbage. You know, like I said, I tried to use this for the first time the other day. I have a bunch of these little bottles because I have a bunch of the ProShot cleaning kits, and I will probably never use them. I don't think it works nearly as well. You know, a few spritzes of Ed's Red, and I'll show you just how much is needed, right? That's it. That's it. So you imagine you have a gallon of this stuff at half the cost of a gallon of this, if not even better. And this is good enough to clean all the exterior and internal parts just by wiping down the gun. You get another one of these patches and you put it on one of these patch holders, push it through the bore, let it sit for a little bit, hit it with your brush, and then dry patch. That's it. So now you wipe it down, you put 2 drops of this in your slide rails on each side, and you're done. This stuff, it even says, apply, let soak for 5 minutes, and I've got the instructions right here that came with it, and I think it even says let sit for 5 to 15 minutes, and then right here on step 4, repeat step 3 approximately 3 to 6 times. Why? Why? I think it's just to sell more of this stuff that doesn't really work that good. Anyway, I think... Oh, one more exception. My battery's about to die, so hopefully I can get this. One more exception is something like this. This is moose milk. This is Ballistol and water. I will say that this is all I will use for black powder. If you try to use typical, you know, any of this stuff for black powder fouling, it's going to react negatively and it will create this horrible tar that is a real pain to get out. It does not react negatively with the moose milk or the Ballistol. You can use Ballistol just plain on the black powder and it's going to be fine. But that's one of the very, very few exceptions that I have. This will clean it, and then when it dries, all that water evaporates and you're left with a very thin film of oil. But you know, for black powder guns, muzzle loaders, cap and ball, what have you, you don't have that same need for constant cycling that you do with modern firearms. Anyway, I don't want this to get any longer than it needs to be, so that's all I've got for now. Take care.